Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and hello. So in this video, me and my group from RCDCS 1435B are going to present our project for STA220, which is titled Relationship Between Smartphone Usage and Academic Performance of Uitm Perlis Students. And this is our members. The first one is Muhammad Hakimi, the second one is Muhammad Amrul Ali, the third one is me, Said Abdul Fahimi, the fourth one is Muhammad Zulhusni, and the last one is Muhammad Shamim. So the first one is the problem statement. Smartphone use is common among university students for learning and social interaction. However, excessive use may lead to smartphone addiction, causing loss of control, distraction, and anxiety. Previous studies show mixed findings on its impact on academic performance, and limited research focuses on Malaysian students, especially at UiTM Perlis. Therefore, this study aims to examine the relationship between smartphone addiction and academic performance among UiTM Perlis students. And now we are moving to research objective. So the first one is to compare the difference in average lack of control and the gender in UiTM Perlis. The second one is to compare the difference in average smartphone usage with respect to gender in UiTM Perlis students. Next, to identify whether age affects the average student's change in behavior. And the next one is to identify the correlation between students feeling anxious and students' behavior changes in UiTM Plus. The fifth one is to identify the correlation between smartphone usage and the performance of UiTM Plus students. The last one is to measure the association between the type of mobile plan used and gender. And now we are going through the research hypothesis. The first one is comparison between the difference between average lack of control and gender in UiTM Perlis students. Our rationale is there is no significant difference in the average lack of control between male and female UiTM Perlis students. The next one is there is significant difference in the average lack of control between male and female UiTM Perlis students. The second one is what is the relationship between students feeling anxious and students' behavior changes. Our rationale is there is no significant relationship between students anxious and their behavioral changes in UiTM Perlis. And H1 is there is a significant difference in students' anxiety scores among faculties in UiTM Perlis. Moving to the third one, does the average of smartphone usage significantly difference with gender? Our rationale is there is no significant difference in the average smartphone usage between male and female UiTM Perlis students. The H1 is there is a significant difference in the average smartphone usage between male and female UiTM Perlis students. And then identify the correlation between smartphone usage and the performance of your IT Imperial students. Our rationale is smartphone usage does not significantly affect the academic performance of your IT Imperial students. And our H1 is smartphone usage significantly affects the academic performance of your IT Imperial students. And the fifth one is identify whether age affects the average student's change in behavior. Our rationale is there is no significant difference in the average student's behavioral change among different age groups. In our H1 is there is a significant difference in the average student's behavioral change among different age groups. And lastly, measure the association between the type of mobile plan used and gender. Our rationale is there is no significant association between the type of mobile plan used and gender among students. Our H1 is there is a significant association between the type of mobile plan used, prepaid or postpaid, and gender among students.
Now, I will be explaining about the research methodology. So, the population is all students of UiTM in Malaysia. The sample is all students of UiTM around Perlis. And the sample size is 104 students of UiTM around Perlis. So, this is how we calculate the sample size by using the online sample size calculator. Next, the sampling technique we use is convenience sampling. Convenience sampling is easily accessible, simple to measure, and respondents are generally comparative, making this technique suitable for the data collection process. This use least time consuming and cost effective. How the data being collected? So the data are being collected by using online questionnaire and Google form link. This is because you have zero cost. Okay, this is our research hypothesis. There were a total of 6 research hypotheses. So for the first one, the rationale is there is no significant difference in the average lack of control between male and female UiTM Perlis student. The H1 is there is significant difference in the average lack of control between male and female UiTM Perlis student. We use independent sample t-test for the statistical test. Next, The rationale is there is no significant relationship between students' ages and their behavioral change in UiTM Plus. This one is there is a significant difference in student anxiety score among faculties in UiTM Plus. We use Pearson product moment correlation for the statistical test. For the third one, the rationale is there is no significant difference in the average smartphone usage between male and female UiTM Plus student. This one is there is a significant difference in the average smartphone usage between male and female UiTM Plus student. The statistical test is independent sample t-test. And the fourth one, the rationale is there is no significant difference in the average student behavioral change among different age groups. This one, there is a significant difference in the average student's behavioral change among different age group. We use one-way ANOVA as the statistical test. So the fifth one is the rationale is there is no significant association between the type of mobile plan used and gender among students. This one, there is a significant association between the type of mobile plan used, prepaid or postpaid, and gender among students. We use chi-square test as the statistical test. The last one is rationale is smartphone usage does not significantly affect the academic performance of your TM student. The H1 is smartphone usage significantly affect the academic performance of your TM student. We use Pearson product moment correlation as the statistical test.
Next, for analysis and findings, descriptive statistic for demographic profile, the sample consisted of 104 respondents. From that total, 56 respondents were male, which represent 53.8%, and 48 respondents were female, which represent 46.2%. This shows that the sample is slightly dominated by male students, although both genders are relatively balanced. Next. For faculty, the respondent came from multiple faculties in Uitm Perlis. The largest representation came from FSKM, with 44 students, accounting for 42.3% of the sample. This was followed by FSG with 32 students, or 30.8%. Other faculty represented smaller portions, such as FSR with 9.6%, FP and FPA both at 4.8%, FPP at 3.8%, and FAB at 3.8%. This distribution shows that the study sample was mainly concentrated in FSKM and FSD faculties. Next, amount time students on smartphone. For the variable of smartphone usage duration, students will ask how many hours they spend on their smartphones daily. The descriptive findings indicate that the most students reported using their smartphone for more than 5 hours per day, which suggests a high level of engagement. The majority of respondents use their smartphones primarily for communication, entertainment, and online activities.
Next, we will take a look at the analysis of inferential statistics. First, we want to know the correlation between student feeling anxious and students' behavior changes. For our HNAL, we got there is no significant relationship between anxiety and behavior changes. For H1, there is a significant relationship between anxiety and behavior changes. So we will look at the values of R and P, which is for R we got 0.54, and for p-value we got 0.535. We reject the H null because our p-value is less than alpha, which is 0.05. So our conclusion is there is a moderate positive relationship between anxiety and behavior changes, meaning that when anxiety increase, behavior also increase. Next, we want to analyze the difference in average of lags of control with respect to gender. For our HNAL, we got there is no significant difference in average of lag controls between male and female student. And H1 is there is a significant difference in average lags of control between male and female student. We will look at our p-value, which is 0.157. We fail to reject the H null because our p-value is larger than alpha. So our conclusion is male and female students experience the similar levels of smartphone lacks of control. Next, we want to analyze the difference in average smartphone usage and gender. For our H-null is there is no significant difference in smartphone usage between genders. And H1 is there is a significant difference in smartphone usage between genders. As usual, we will look at our p-value, which is 0.669. This time, we also fail to reject the H null because our p-value is larger than the alpha value, which make our conclusion is smartphone usage is similar between both gender, male and female students. Our next objective is to know the correlation between smartphone usage and the performance. For our H null, we got there is no relationship between smartphone usage and academic performance. H1 is there is a relationship between smartphone usage and the academic performance. And we will look at the value of R and the value of P. For R, we got 0.14, and for P value, we got 0.145. We also fail to reject the H null because our P value is larger than our alpha, which means our conclusion is smartphone usage has no meaningful relationship with academic performance in these samples. Next, we will look at the effects of age to the average student's changes in behavior. For our H null, we got age does not significantly affect the behavior changes. And for H1 is age significantly affects behavior changes. We will look at p-value, which is 0.037, which is larger than our alpha value. So we reject the H null and accept H1. And our conclusion is age has a significant effects on behavior changes. And for our last objective is to know the association between types of mobile plan use and gender. For our H null is there is no association between types of mobile plan and gender. And H1 is there is an association between types of mobile plan and a gender. So our p-value is 0.645, which is larger than our value of alpha, so we fail to reject the H null, which make the mobile plan preference does not depend on gender.
For the conclusion of this study, we found several factors related to smartphone addiction that influence students' academic performance based on questionnaires distributed to Uitm Perlis students. The factors involved in this study are smartphone usage, lack of control, feeling anxious, and behavioral changes as independent variables, academic performance as dependent variable. First, we use person correlation test to identify the relationship between students feeling anxious and their behavioral changes. After using the test, we can conclude that there is a significant relationship between feeling anxious and behavioral changes among UiTM Perlis students. Secondly, we use independent sample t-test to determine whether there is a difference in the average level of lack of control based on gender. After using the test, we conclude that there is no significant difference in lack of control between male and female students. Thirdly, we use independent sample t-test to examine the difference in average smartphone usage between genders. After using the test, we conclude that smartphone usage does not significantly differ between male and female students. Next, we use one-way ANOVA test to determine whether age affects students' behavioral changes. After using the test, we conclude that there is a significant difference in behavioral changes among different age groups. Then, we use chi-square test to examine the relationship between the type of mobile plan used and gender. After using the test, we conclude that there is no significant relationship between type of mobile plan used and gender. Lastly, we use person correlation test to identify the relationship between smartphone usage and academic performance. After using the test, we conclude that there is no significant relationship between smartphone usage and academic performance. To sum it up, although your temporary students show moderate to high smartphone usage and some addictive behaviors, the impact on academic performance is relatively minimal. Students are encouraged to manage their smartphone usage effectively and develop better self-control strategies to support their academic success.